Hey everyone, this is Daniel. In today's video, we're going to take a look at Power Automate for Desktop with Outlook integration and AI Builder. Now, what this title really means is that we're going to take a look at two flows. First, we will start with the cloud flow where the Outlook connector is used to go ahead and assess the attachments of an incoming email and specifically take the invoice. Then we will use the AI builder, which will go ahead and grab all this information from the invoice. And by the way, this is automatically done. We don't have to do any training. After that, we focus our attention on the desktop flow. What the desktop flow does is it'll automatically go and open up a desktop app. Then it takes all the data from the cloud flow, automatically does the input into the desktop flow, saves it, and closes it. Now, this is a very sophisticated process that we're going to build over here using completely but low code. So stick around, this is very important. But first, here's my intro video. So let's get started. Now what I've done is I've gone ahead and signed up in both my browser and my desktop app just to make things ready. Let me just walk you through that. On the left side, you see that through the browser, I've gone into my Power Automate and I made sure that I'm in the correct environment, this is the one where I built all my desktop flows. On the right, you actually see Power Automate for Desktop, and that is also in the same environment. So it's important that you actually get this done correctly right off the bat, because this is where we'll be building our flows, specifically this environment. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus all my attention right now in my Power Automate for Desktop, because what we need to do is have that desktop flow ready, because after that, we will build the cloud flow and it's going to trigger this one. So the desktop flow needs to be ready first. Otherwise, the cloud flow will not know what to trigger. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to click on plus new flow. I'll go and give it a name and I'm going to click on create. Now remember, the whole idea for the desktop flow is to go ahead and open up a desktop app and then populate some data in it. Now I get it. The data is coming from the Cloudflow, Daniel. How do we know what to put in over here? Here's the trick. You first go ahead and put in static data. That way, at least you're building your flow. After that, we will go ahead and change that static data to some variables, and those variables will be populated from the Cloudflow. It'll make more sense when we start working on it. So first things first, we've got to run this application. What is this application that you want to run? So on the top left under actions, I just go and type in run. And right over here, under system, there's something called as run application. So you click on it, drag it, drop it, and right over here, it tells me what is the application path. So here's what I'll do. I've just opened up my file explorer. Go ahead and get the entire path of the exe file of the application that you want to launch. So in my case, it is already up to here. I just need to put another backslash and then go ahead and grab that exe1. So that exe1 is right there. See that legacy invoicing application? So I'll just put that in, legacy, and there you go, grabbed it. Now I put my shift button down, click home, the whole thing gets highlighted. I'll do a control C. I can go and minimize this file explorer, come to the application path, and I'll paste it. And there you go, that's all I need. Now here's something else that you can consider, right? In the Windows style, you can leave that as normal. That means that this, whatever was the application was built to when it opens up or when it launches, it might have a default size. You can leave that as the normal one, or you can actually go ahead and say, I want to go ahead and give it maximize, so it'll fill that up. So this is something that you may want to consider, especially in the next set of steps that we're going to do, which is some recording. I'll leave it this way for now, but I just want to at least share that with you. Cool. So the first action is done, which is run application. Everything looks good. So what I'll do is I'll first be good stewards. Let's go and click save, and let's just do run. In the run, it will go ahead and run the first action, and there you go. The application opened up. And that's all I'm going to do right now, right? I just made sure that the application comes up, because now the next series of steps is going to be much easier to build because we are just going to record it. So let's think about what I want to do. I want to go ahead and now click on the invoices, and in the invoices, I'm going to go ahead and now submit a new invoice with all this data coming in. So that's very important that I know what I'm going to do. Now, I just did a mistake. I went ahead and clicked on the invoices where actually the default setting was somewhere else. So let me do this. I'll go and X out of this one. I'll run this one again. All right, so it's just gone ahead and run so that it just opened up, and that's all I want to do. Now let's start the recorder. So I'll click over here on the recorder, and it will go and automatically minimize that first section of the Power Automate for Desktop. That's completely fine. And when the recorder comes up, all we got to do is click on record up over here or on the bottom. They are both the exact same, okay? So here we go. And click on the recording. And as you hover your mouse over invoices, you see it highlights it as text. And as we click on it, on the left, you see that the action has been added. Next, I selected the date field on the Contoso app, and I went ahead and added some date. That was also recorded in the recorder. Next, I selected the amount field in the app, and on the recorder, it shows click element. However, when I start typing in an amount, that was changed to populate text field. The same thing happens for the contact field as well in the Contoso app. The same thing happens for the amount field as well in the app. When I click on it, the recorder is click element. However, when I start typing in the amount, it is changed to populate text. Next, we hover over the save button to save the new invoice we added. And once you click on it, that action is also recorded. And finally, we hover over the close button on the Contoso application. And once you click on it, the close window action is recorded. But as you can see, some of the recording is completed, but here's what the final actions look like, and we need to do some cleaning up. First thing is this run application. We need to click on it, drag it all the way to the top because that's the first application. And I like this little note that comes in because it's telling us to start the auto-generated action. Like this tells me that this is actually where the recording happened. So I like it. I'm going to leave that as is. Next says click UI element in Windows, and the click UI was text invoices. In fact, let me just open up that app again so it makes more sense. Remember, when the app opened up, we were in accounts. So the first thing we did was we went and clicked on the invoices. That's all we did, the click. And so that is what this recorder step is telling us. We went and clicked on the invoices. After that, we went and clicked on an image. So that image was basically this new image. So let's say what that image was. So I'm going to come over here on the right where there is this UI. That's the one, this image. I'm going to right click and I'm going to rename that. And I'll call that as new image. See, that starts to make more sense. Like, what was I doing? I was clicking on this new image. All right, so let's keep continuing, all right? So next one was what the populate text field in window. Well, what was I populating? I was populating the date one right there. So once I clicked on new, the first thing I populated was the date one. So I'm going to select that over here. This is text window, which is what it is, edit text window. So I'm going to right click, edit it, and I'm going to say this is the date text window. And so now you see where I'm going with this. Next, text window 2. Well, the text window 2 was temp account. What is temp account? Temp account is basically just the account. So that's what I'll do. I'll come here, right click on it. I'll rename that and I'll go and change that to the account text. And I'll also remove this 2. After that, what was the temp contact? Well, you know what the temp contact is. It was actually just the contact. So minimize that. Click over here. And as you can see, this is a bit of a repetitive process, but it's really helping to understand what is going on. So I'm going to go ahead and now rename that one as well. And this one is going to be contact. And delete the 3. Next one was the, let's see what that was. That one was the amount. So I'll edit, rename that, and this is going to be the amount. And just be careful because that account and amounts almost sounds the same, so just be a little careful. And then this image, what is this image? As you can see on the bottom, it shows you what that image is. Well, as you know, that is the save image. So I'll go and call this as my save image. Oops, save image. Next one was, what was the button we pressed? This button that we pressed was for the save button. I think we might have double clicked on that, so I can go and delete this one right there, and then the close one. So the close image, that's good. I think I'll leave that as is. And next is the close window. Close window looks good. So this is what we recorded from the recorder. I like the way it looks. So I'm just going to go and click on save. But we're not done with the desktop flow because remember, these were static data that we added. We need to replace these with variables. And so to do that, on the top right, click on variables, and this is where we go and start adding some of these variables. So watch, because this is very important. If you don't do this, when you're adding the step for the robotic process automation desktop section, it will not come ahead and ask you these things. Trust me, you need to go and do this. And I'll explain, when we come to that step, I'll explain to you the importance of this one. But right now, I'm going to click on this. I'm going to say this is an input one. Input one is going to be of a type account. So I'll just type that in. And what you want to do is whatever you typed in here for the variable name, go ahead and put that in as the external name as well. So I'll just do a control shift. I'll basically highlight the whole thing, go to control C. I'll delete this new input text, paste it, and we'll go and save this. So that's the first one, is when we went and added the account one. Next is the amount. So the same thing, go ahead and just delete the text for the input new, type in amount, And then I'll do a Control C, delete this new input right here, and I'll go and click on paste. So we got two more to do. I'll go and click on that input as well, because now we need to go and add contact. So I'll add the contact, highlight that, go in and add contact, and I'll click on save. And then finally, we also had date. I'll go select the plus, and then for the sake of this one, I'm gonna leave that as a text. So I'll leave that as a text right there, and click on save. So this is important because we went and now added our input variable. So what can I do after that? I can come to each of these text fields and replace the static data with the variables that we add. So let's go do this. This one is first the date. So let me now go and delete the static right there. Deleted it. I'll click on the variables, add that, and then we go and add date. So we'll go and click on save, click on save. Now this error shows up because we deleted it. Even though after we've added it, the error still shows up. Don't worry about that. Just ignore it. Click on save. It will save correctly. And if you missed that, here's what I mean. Is right over here for the next one, for the account text box, when I double click on it, watch. When I go and delete this, an error shows up in the bottom, all right? See right there, invalid area, invalid value. Don't worry about it. Go and select the highlight one over there. This one is for our account. So I'll select that and I'll select the account variable that we added. Click on save. Next, go ahead and put the contact one. So delete the temp contact and we add our contact variable. Select, save. Finally, our amount. I'll delete the one we added and I'll add our amount variable. And then everything else also looks good. So now we are actually done with the desktop flow piece over here. This is pretty awesome, all right? So I'm gonna go click on save and we are done with the desktop piece. Now let's go focus on the cloud one. All right, so back in the browser, make sure I'm on the correct environment. I'll click on new flow. This is going to be the automated cloud flow. So I'll select that. And for now, I'm going to click on just skip on it. And then I'll go and say the live demo. And over here, it is going to be for the Office 365 Outlook. Now, if you don't see Office 365 Outlook, just do a search for it and it'll find out. So here's my Office 365 Outlook. And for the action or the trigger that we need is when a new email arrives. All right, and right now it is version 3. So I'll go and select that. And this is what it looks like, which is great. All right, but what I need to do is I need to expand it to see the advanced options. And the couple of advanced options that I need to do is this one over here, include attachments. I need to make sure that I've gone ahead and actually included the attachments. And also who it is coming from. Is it a specific email address that you're looking for? I am going to focus on the one that is coming specifically from a test account. All right, I'm going to focus it from this one right here. Also, to who it is coming. You can actually do either one of them, to or from, or you can do both. So I'm going to also go and make sure I do both. That way I have got a full win-win situation type of a deal. So I'll just select that. Now you can take the filtering to the next level. Is that do you want to only see the emails which have only attachments to it? And in my current scenario, that's the perfect one because I only want to focus those emails which have attachments. So right here, when it says only with attachments, I'll go ahead and make that as yes as well. So this just makes it a win-win situation. This one is only filtering the emails which have attachments, but this also is very important, the setting. It's like I need to make sure I include all the attachments, all right? So that's a very important step that we need to go and take a look at. All right, so from here onwards, you could do one additional step, is you can take that attachment and you can save it somewhere. So I'll leave that up to you. When I built my personal one, I actually go and saved it to my OneDrive or actually went and saved it to a SharePoint specific site, a library. You do that up to your discretion. I'm just giving you this tip that yes, when the email comes in, all you want is to go and assess that invoice, great, then this is all you need to do. But if you want to take that invoice and save it somewhere else, then right over here, you come in, add a new step, and then you can go and pick in anything, SharePoint or OneDrive, whatever you want to do. So for example, let's just go and do it. We'll do OneDrive, mine is OneDrive for Business. In my OneDrive for Business, I'm going to go and click on this Create File. And this Create File, you put in wherever you want to save it. So I can go and say in my root folder, there is something called as Documents. I'll save it over there. The file name, well, that is going to be the attachments name. So you just search for attach and you get attachments name. The file content, well, the file content is going to be the attachments content. Now, do you know that it automatically became an apply to each? Well, that's automatically done by Power Automate because it just assumes that you might have more than one attachment. And so I'm not going to miss any. I'll go ahead and make sure all the attachments come in, and all the attachments means it puts it automatically into an apply to each. So don't get concerned. You didn't do anything wrong. This is automatically there by design in Power Automate. All right, now comes the fun part is we've got to go ahead and use the AI to do that. And specifically from AI, the one that I need to look for is extract information from invoices. So let's do this. I say add an action and go and select AI Builder. There is already something called extract information from invoices. And in fact, if you just start typing in for invoices, you will get that extract information from invoices. So just select that. That action is already been added. The invoice file, well, that is the attachments content right there. Attachments content. Attachments content. So just select that. Now, when you add this, it won't do a double apply to each. It won't put an apply to each inside an apply to each. It is smart enough to know that, hey, this action is already inside an apply to each, so I'm not going to put in a double loop, right? I like the way this thing thinks over here. Well, after the AI will go and extract the information from the invoices, I need to be able to go and send that now to our desktop flow. Does it make sense now why we had to make the desktop flow first? It's kind of making sense now? Good. All right, so here in the add an action, we are going to search for run a flow. Just search for run a flow because all you will see is that desktop flows. All right, so click on the desktop flow, and what you want to do is run a flow built with Power Automate for desktop. We did exactly that. We went and built it on our desktop. So that's basically what I need to do is run a flow with the Power Automate for desktop. So I'll click on it. And then once I click on it, it's going to load the desktop flow. So in our desktop flow, we need to see which one was it. So right, just to make sure that's one it was, I'll open this up. It says live demo to add a new invoices to Contoso app. Make sure we saved it too. So that was important. And that what it is, live demo to add in a new invoice to Contoso app. So the moment I clicked on it, the run mode, well, the run mode, we can do whatever it is. In this case, I'm actually going to do it as attended when I'm signed in. But here, did you see account, amount, contact date? These fields showed up over here only because we went ahead and added these input variables. Those fields would not show up if you did not add these input variables. So it's very, very important for those two things. We did the recording. In the recording, we added that static data, but we replaced the static data with these input variables. Now you understand why we had to go and do that? Good. So let's just minimize this. And in here, in the account and all of these ones, we go ahead and take the data which was given to us by AI. And it's beautiful because AI already has all this information. So for the account that we are typing in here, it's actually, okay, so for the account that we are typing in over here, if you start typing and swing for a search for the account, you will notice that you don't find it anywhere. But what is the account? The account is actually the vendor name. So there you go. I just typed in vendor and that's what it is. It's the account name. Now you will have to play around with your flow because in my case, the account is actually the vendor name. You might actually have a specific name and convention for the account. So just play that with your discretion, okay? And then over here, when you type in for the amount, you already see that there is an amount due text. However, go and search for it because there's two types of amounts. There's an amount due text and there is also amount due number. Cool. All right. And then there's a contact. Well, contact could be whatever. It could be the email address that you put in, or it could be the full address. In our case, it is actually the full address. So if I start typing in vendor, you will see that there's something called as vendor address. So that's what I'll put in is vendor address. And for the date, well, that's the due date. So I'm going to type in due date, and there's two types. There's the text and there's the date. So I'm just going to go and put in as the date. One last thing, in our trigger, we missed this important step. See that subject filter? In that subject filter, it says string to look for in the subject file. Well, I'm going to specifically look for the text called invoice. So here I go. I've typed in invoice now. So we will actually search for that, right? That was an important step that I missed over here. Make sure I point that out to you. So I'll go and click on save. And all in all, we are actually done over here. So now that we've got the two flows built, let's do an actual test. I'll go to my external account, which is a Gmail. From there, I'll pretend like I'm sending an email with an invoice. And hopefully our cloud flow and our desktop flow will trigger successfully. So let's go do that. So here I am in my Gmail account. I've gone ahead and typed in my email address. I'll go and put in the term invoice because all you said, when your emails come in, they've got the term invoice all somewhere in there. I'll go and get my attachment, which is right there. It is in my account, which is invoice. And by the way, if you're interested, here's what that invoice actually looks like. Right there. This was an invoice I actually got. It was from a company, the Canon, where I went and got some accessories. So this is a true invoice, a real test. right? So I'll go and close that, and everything else looks good. So I'll go and click on send. The email is sent from my Gmail. Outlook, here in the Outlook, that invoice has actually come in. If I click on it, you will see the invoice, which means our flow should trigger any second now. Right here, see, it says the live demo one, it is already triggering, which means something is going to happen right now. So if you click on it, we'll see at what point it is. All right, I want to keep my hands up because, as you can see, it is happening in the apply to each. So at some point, our desktop flow will also get triggered. As you can see, the desktop flow has automatically started. It's going on opening everything up. It's going ahead and actually adding the account, see the contact, the amount, saved it. And after that's happened, it is going to go and complete this flow. There you go. Your flow ran successfully. So let's just think about what just happened. When the email came in, it went and satisfied all the conditions. It had invoice and there was an attachment. It also came from the person. It also came to the person. So all the conditions were met. After that, we were just good stewards. We took the attachment and we went and created that file, saved the attachment to my OneDrive. You could save it to another location, say to your SharePoint site as well. But from here, it went ahead and extracted all the information. So let's take a look at that, all right? The information, it extracted the amount due, confidence, date, and everything. Now, you and I built this live, so you know that I didn't have to do any training. This AI for invoices is automatically doing it. It's pretty smart, all right? It's also giving you some really good confidence. But we went and pulled all of this information in, and using that information, we went ahead and ran the desktop flow. But when we ran the desktop flow, we gave it some information. This is the information, like the account, the amount, contact date. This is what the input variables is looking for. So let's go take a look at now the desktop flow. So for that, I come to my flows, I go to the desktop flow, the new one that we just built 19 minutes ago. If I go and select that, you will see that that also ran successfully. But let's go and take a look just so that we can walk through what happened. Right over here, it first went ahead and took that data that came through. First things it did was it went ahead and turned on the application. Whatever is your legacy application or your desktop application, that application was run. After that, we went ahead and selected the invoice type. See right over here, the invoice thing. It was by default on accounts. It went ahead and selected on the invoice. After that, it clicked on the new image, which is right here. So the new image was saved. After the new image, we went and put in the date. See, date. We went and put in the account. We went and put in the contact. We went and put in the amount. And then finally, we went and saved it. That's what the save image was. And we went and closed it. All of this was happening automatically. So let's go and do that test one more time, all right? So I'm going to close this off. I'll go ahead and keep this one open over here. I'll go open up my Gmail just so that in the Gmail, we will compose another exact same one. The email is going to my Christian family one. Subject needs to have invoice. We will go ahead and put that same attachment, all right? We can go and put that attachment in just so that we can trigger it. I don't need to put anything in the body, so I'll just go and click on send. In the send, email has gone through. We can quickly verify because I'll go into my mailbox. As we'll see that another email will come through any second now. This is right here is the first one. Another one will come through right now. Right there. It came through. Moment that happens, our our Cloudflow will trigger. So I go to my Cloudflow. This is the one, live demo. So our second flow will start any second now. I'm going to go and refresh that. There you go. It has just started. So I'll click on it. And it'll tell me that at what point of this action is. So when the email came in, the trigger is perfect. It went to the apply to each. And look, I'm actually keeping my hand up over here because any second now, our desktop app is going to open up. And you will see that using Power Automate for desktop, the attended one, it'll start populating all of this data. Any second it's happening right now. There you go. The desktop app opened up. It is going and populating the date, the account, the contact, and the amount. All of this is coming from the Cloudflow. Went ahead and saved it. It is closed. And now any other second, the Cloudflow is completed because the last action over here has run successfully. So this flow will complete. It says right now it's saying your flow is running, but the desktop flow is completed. It's communicating to the cloud. And now it will go and say that this ran successfully. There you go. It ran successfully. And just to prove, I'll go and minimize this section here. Go and minimize that one as well. Let's open up our desktop app. In our desktop app, go to our invoices, and in our invoices, there you go. In fact, we see two because we went and ran the both of them. It ran through and it ran it successfully. Wasn't that awesome? So as a quick recap, we first went ahead and built the desktop flow, because the desktop flow is where we had to add the actions to launch the desktop flow. Go ahead and pretend like we're actually adding some data over there. And then we went and created some input variables, and those input variables were assigned to all the data that we were adding. And so we were done with the desktop flow. Then we went and created the cloud flow. The cloud flow was triggering the cloud flow was actually incoming email from the Outlook. But in the Outlook, we went to the advanced settings. In the advanced settings, we had to tell in first of all what the subject was. The subject had to have invoice. It had to come from a specific person, and it had to go to a specific person, and it had to have an attachment. And then based on that, we saved it in OneDrive. You could save it to anywhere else you want. And then after that, we went and ran that invoice through the AI. The AI pulled a whole bunch of information for us. We took specific things from that information, and from there, we triggered the desktop flow, sending it the data that is interested for the inputs on the desktop flow. So hopefully this video has expanded your horizon, because you might have similar scenarios as well. And using the integration of the cloud and the desktop flows, you can achieve so much more. And as always, keep using Power Automate Cloud Flow and Desktop Flow. Hello, hello, hello. So if you like this video, go ahead and click on that subscribe button and smash that like button. Also, if you have a few extra seconds, can you go ahead and put in a comment? Either say something nice or give me ideas for my next video. And until then, see ya.